What is going on, Governor? It's Chisgule here, and today we're going to do a commander guide on Zetian. If you like Rise of Kingdoms videos where we break down all of the commanders and how you best use them, you should like and subscribe because we've got videos about literally every single commander, and we are a sponsored creator with Rise of Kingdoms. Now, when we do a commander guide, you know the drill. We walk through the skills, the talents, how you unlock them, and naturally, the commander pairings. So let's start with Zetian, who, by the way, has a really crazy story going from concubine to empress, the only empress of China? What? Anyways, so Zetian, her skills are impressive. First skill does direct damage factor of max of 1000, healing factor of 500 at the same time, combined total of 1500. I think this is fine. It's not gangbuster. Let's compare to some other commanders. For instance, it is better than Charlemagne, doing just 1400 damage factor. This is 1500 combined factor. If we look at another commander like Khan, it's not as good as Khan, who offers 1700 damage factor. So there must be some other upside here. P.S. One other commander we can look at is Cao Cao, who not only does 1400 damage factor, but does an attack reduction and march speed reduction for 3 seconds. So the first skill is, in my opinion, fine, but somewhat, perhaps slightly, underpowered. The other skills must be quite good. Let's see how that is the case. Next skill, Lion Rider. When commanding the garrison, all of those troops have their damage increased by 2%. And the damage caused to rally attacks is increased by 2%. That's 10% for both of those when they're maxed out. That is an amazing skill for defending a city. A garrison is only cities. This is very important. Garrisons only are cities as of when I last checked in with my points of contact at Lilith to say, like, what qualifies as a garrison? Only cities. I know those words appear other places. Okay, so this is a city defense commander. Let's continue. Tears of Blood. I love when the names are pronounceable, by the way. Increase the hit points and defense, HP, that must be health. The health and defense of troops under your command by 10% at max. Your troops have a 10% chance to silence their target for 2 seconds. I'm going to assume that comes from normal attacks, which is really quite strong. So defense and health by 10% each, and a chance to silence. This is a skill that is really quite strong if we compare to some other skills, right? We're talking about 20% of total stats and an effect. What's another commander that offers stats with an effect? Gosh, I don't know that we have one that does stats and effect. We have damage with an effect over here. That's damage with an effect. Stats with an effect? What I'll say is that it seems pretty good to me. It seems pretty good to me. Let's continue on. Fourth skill, Legacy. When commanding the garrison, that's your city's defense, incoming skill damage is reduced by an upwards of 15%. That's not very much, but another effect, your troops have a 50% chance to increase their defense by 20% when they take skill damage. This is exciting, and here's why. If you watched my recent video, card up in the top, where we got double rallied and swarmed at the same time, then you're taking a lot of skill damage attacks over and over. If each of those is giving a chance to proc Legacy, and assuming there's no internal cooldown, which means it can only fire off once within a certain window of time, it can fire off as often as it happens, and there's just a % chance that that fires off, my goodness, is Legacy powerful. Very powerful for defending a city. Let's continue on. Brightest Sky increases counterattack by 20%, which is fine, but we've seen better other places. Incoming attacks have a 10% chance to deal Damage to the attacker, damage factor 500. This is another skill, like the fourth one, that if there is no internal cooldown, is amazing anti-swarm technology. Wu Zetian is amazing for defending your city, but that's about it. She's got 2 skills, 2, that are relevant only in the garrison. Only in the garrison. I guess these are good other places too, but a commander with 2 relevant skills plus an expertise that's relevant to other places, I mean, like, we can do better than that for other places in the game, I think. Let's talk about the talents, and that will further show us the direction we think you should go, because we think there's really only one build to put on this commander. Let's get into it. In order to show you, by the way, what those talents could be, we're going to have to look at a similar commander, because this commander is not available yet. We can't actually click their button to look at those talents. We're going to pull up Constantine, who almost has the same trees. So we're going to look a little bit at Constantine, and we're going to look a little bit at Caesar, because he's got the leadership tree, right? So we're looking for that combination of support, garrison, and leadership. Let's get a look at the talents. The one and only build that we would put on Wu Zetian, because she's a city defense commander, would be to pick up Nowhere to Turn. Along the way, you have to get impenetrable fortifications, and also Impregnable, which along the way, you've got to get Empty Fortress Stratagem. This is going to produce more rage if your city's getting attacked by a bunch of armies. When we got double rallied and swarmed, seems really good. Reducing that skill attack damage seems really good. Let's continue on. The next thing that is a mandatory for Wu Zetian is to make your way over to Rejuvenate, because Rejuvenate is just amazing. 150 rage per skill used. This is the rage engine that a primary commander in your city needs. This is what we've always needed. This seems very strong. It's why Constantine, if you've got them, would be a primary, and Wu Zetian is no exception. I also really like Loose Formation, reducing skill damage taken, very powerful, and I think it's worthy if you think your city's getting double rallied and swarmed, which we are. We have been. Emergency protection's really great in that situation. It makes it so that when you take skill damage, there's a chance that you get protection, a damage reduction from skill damage for 3 seconds. So that seems really quite strong in the situation in which you're getting surrounded. Now, this still is only a small number of talent points. There's a little more dabbling you could do in the support tree if you wanted to get Elixir to increase healing effects. Depends on who your secondary commander is for your garrison. If you wanted to get counterattack to increase the amount of damage you do after you get healed, this will also depend on who is in your garrison. We'll talk about some of those pairings. We now need to go look at the leadership tree, which is where you dump the rest of your points. So if we look at Caesar as a commander that has the leadership tree, in fact, let me switch it up a little bit. Let's go look at Ethelfled, who has the support tree, so you can just have that in front of you, and the leadership tree. Now, in the leadership tree, when you have a rage engine, we want to take advantage of the fact that you're generating lots of rage. Take advantage of the fact that you've got this Rejuvenate talent. For that reason, I would recommend that you make your way up to Strategic Prowess. Strategic Prowess is going to increase your defense for 2 seconds after you use a skill. Well, guess what? This is going to be, I think, a total of, what, like 20? Is it 20% defense? Is it 20% defense? It's really quite strong. Here we go. 20% defense for 2 seconds. Let's just walk through how that works. A skill attack is going to fire off. On the next turn, you're going to have 20% extra defense. On the next turn, you're going to have 20% extra defense still, and another skill attack will fire, which means on the next turn, you'll have 20% more defense, and on the next turn, you'll have 20%. 4 turns in a row of 20% more defense seems good to me. By the way, you get some extra rage gen along the way, and some extra healing effectiveness, which, I mean, you are having a healing factor of 500 from Wu Zetian, so that seems really quite strong. With extra points, you could make your way over to Armed to the Teeth for a solid 3% extra damage dealt. We dig it. You're going to have mixed troops when you're defending your city, so that seems good. We also think that Steely Soul is not so bad. Increasing your normal attack damage is fine. It's not amazing, but it's fine. And at this point, you've probably picked up all the other exciting talents anyways from the support tree. You could make your way over to Armored to the Teeth, but I don't recommend it because you're wasting 3 talent points on fresh recruits, increasing the maximum troop capacity you have, but that's not relevant when you're defending a city. And again, because 2 of the skills on this commander really are only relevant for defending a city, I don't know how exciting that is. I don't know how exciting that is. Now, it could be that in the translation, they're using the word garrison, but they don't mean it in its strict definition, which is only your city. It's only your city. I'll get clarification on that. If this changes, you'll see a message down in the comments, okay? It's only your city. So, because this is a commander that is only good for defending your city, most people don't need to use her. They don't need to use her. You can only get her from KVK right now. That is the only place it's a KVK reward. Hopefully it shows up in Card King. I know they did that with the last KVK only commander. I loved that it showed up in Card King. I thought that was amazing. It takes away from the sting of defeat, which we're feeling a second time this time around. That's neither here nor there. Let's stay focused. So, only for city defense. Now, who is getting rallied anyways, right? Like, who should be getting rallies? There's 3 situations where you're getting rallied. One is you went offline, you're no longer on your alliance territory, or for some reason you're at war within your own kingdom, which seems crazy these days, right? You're at war within your own kingdom, and you got rallied when you were not online. That sucks, but I'm going to tell you something. This is not going to be the difference between getting zeroed or not. It isn't. She's powerful. She's awesome. She's, in my opinion, the single best primary city defense commander in the game. Boom. Mic freaking dropped, okay? Seriously, I think that of her. However, I got made the saint. I'm feeling rather saintly at this moment. However, she's really not needed for most players. The other situations in which you might get rallied is if you're online in KVK and in a territory you've teleported to that does not belong to your alliance, but it belongs to an alliance within your kingdom. Now, in that case, you might need to defend your city, but probably not. They're probably not going to rally you. We've seen very little of that. The other situation in which you need to defend your city is when you're online. And if you're online and you're trying to get rallied, which, I mean, like, that happened to us in this KVK. When we got double rallied, we were doing that intentionally. We moved to a position. We challenged them. I said, I dare you. And they said, okay. Challenge accepted, right? There's very few people who are going to find themselves in that situation. Very, very few. Just use a peace shield. Teleport away. You don't have to take a rally. Now, you can inflict a lot of deaths, but most times you don't get rallied by players when they know that you're online, because you'll just heal up your hospital and you lose some resources, but it's not that big a deal. And they're losing hundreds of thousands of troops. They just don't rally you. So, even though I don't think Wu Zetian is for most players, in most situations, in fact, I feel like I'm one of the few players that really needs a commander like this. Whatever. Even though that's the case, I would argue that there are some really sweet pairings here that we should get a look at. And I'm going to modify my recommendation here, which is that if this in fact applies to a situation when you're in a flag, and this also applies to when you're in a situation when you're in a flag, then this commander is, I mean, just absolutely insane. I can't believe they would make a commander this good. Insane. If you're defending flags and you're the leader of that sort of thing, because you're a T5 player. Anyways, pairing time. In my opinion, the number one slam dunk, oh my gosh, we've been waiting for this pairing, is with Yi Seong-Ye. Yi Seong-Ye generates rage, he's a garrison commander, he's elevating the damage of the primary, and finally we've got a commander to pair with in our city defense that does extra damage. Yes, yes, this is the slam dunk pairing. I love this, use this combination, that's what I would do. That is what I will do. Another really exceptional combination would be Richard I. He elevates the healing of a secondary commander, and finally, we've got a secondary commander. Well, he's the secondary, they'd be the primary. We've got a commander to pair with here that the primary and the secondary, they're benefiting from this skill. Synergy, baby. Yes, that is a cool pairing. I love it. If you're using Wu Zetian is the primary, and you should, you're also picking up those talents that elevate healing, and that's sweet with Richard and Wu Zetian. I will say the downside is that people have figured out that they're really probably going to rally you with Saladin. They're probably going to rally you with Alexander the Great, and they're going to cut your healing effectiveness in half. So while I think they're a cool pair, they are countered. Consider it countered. If I had an editor, it would like flash up on the screen now. It'd be like, boom, countered. And it'd say it in big letters. Whatever, I don't have an editor like that. So, other pairings. You could pair with Charles Martel as the secondary. I think that the counterattack is synergistic. I think that this is a garrison commander who can do great stuff. The shielding is great. Elevating the damage is fine, although you don't get the full benefit because he's the secondary, but it doesn't matter because Wu Zetian should be the primary. She generates more rage, and rage engine is what city defense has always been lacking. Boom. Headshot. Continuing on. Other commanders you might consider pairing with for city defense includes, of course, Constantine. The challenge with a commander like Constantine is that they do an attack reduction. An attack reduction is right now countered by Alexander the Great, and guess what? They will rally you with Alexander the Great, who is immune to attack reduction. So right now, Constantine's not the best in the world, plus he's got to heal, and healing is countered against cities specifically, so I think the single pair is Wu Zetian and Yi Seong-Ye, but if you were making an epic pairing, you could pair with Kusunoki. I think it'd be okay, just fine. I love that you're cranking out the skill damage, and if you're getting swarmed, sure, hitting these targets is good, but if you were getting swarmed, you'd very much rather have Sun Tzu anyways. Sun Tzu is the best epic. Oh my gosh, he's so good. You would use Sun Tzu as the pairing. All these skills are relevant and magnificent. There's synergy here, elevating the active skill of the primary commander. There's rage generation here, and I love myself nothing more than a good rage engine. So that all seems A++ as the combo. You could pair with a commander like Pelagius, who will benefit from the rage, and also they've got a little bit of a rage engine themselves. So if you're defending against one rally, Pelagius is pretty good. There's also healing synergy here with the talents that you'll get from Wu Zetian. The final commanders that we can get a look at for city defense include Herman, who I think I like that he's generating a little bit of rage here, but I also think it's interesting there's some synergy with silencing. That could be pretty cool, but I'm not the highest on Herman in a city's defense because I just think the Archer March Speed is some wasted stat allocation. In a similar vein, you could go with Ulji Mundok, who is better against a swarm than a commander like Herman, or even a commander like Pelagius, because there's a chance that when he's attacked, boom, you're going to increase the damage you deal by 100% on your next turn. Not so bad. There's also a bit of damage enablement here onto the rally, reducing their defense, and if you're up against a rally, then that's also good. So there's a little bit of rally, defense, capability, a little bit of swarm, defense, capability. So I think that's all pretty freaking sweet. By the way, if you want a guide that I made ages ago about swarm versus rally defense mindset, card will be up in the top. I think that covers it really, really cleanly. So, my friends, we believe that Wu Zetian is the best city defense commander in the game. The only problem is most people shouldn't use it because they shouldn't get hit anyways. If these garrison-related things work in anywhere other than a city, which I have been told explicitly they do not, but my information's old, right? Like, maybe that changed over the course of the last 5 or 6 months. Maybe that's changed. But if they only work in the city, then use them for defending your city, make them the primary, level them up to 60 to get all the talents, but then you call it a day. That's what I plan to do. I plan to invest in this commander because, gosh darn it, we seem to be a real magnet for rallies. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please do like and subscribe so that you always get the latest on guides and just freaking awesome ROK coverage. Patting myself on the back a little bit. No, seriously, joking aside, if you like this kind of stuff, please do like and subscribe. It means a lot to me. And until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom.